Yo, 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 and welcome to another special edition of Roy's Podcast. I'm Roy Spencer.
I'm Johnny Rodriguez, and this is Roy's podcast. So, Roy, we got a lot of things to talk about. It's a new year, new profits, new losses.
New money.
Yeah, new money.
Let's see it.
All right, so basically, we want to start off by saying thank you, everyone, for being such a grateful listener. We really appreciate the audience we built and, all of that stuff, okay? Because we really do appreciate you guys. Yeah. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this.
Right.
All right, so, Roy, let's start off with a little stock chatter, huh?
Oh, love it, man. So what are we leading off in 2022 with? Like, what's going on in terms of, like, people's minds? And I just kind of want to...
Their mindset?
People, yeah, like, for, like, people that haven't seen it, because just, like, checking in with them, I want to show you guys a little bit about, like, where we left off. We have this being the QQQ, which is just much easier to visualize on the TQQQ. And now we're just going to call it the Q cubed because lots of Qs, people getting confused. And we're not trying to do that here on the show. So Q cubed, it's been rolling. And, TQ cubed, that's been rolling as well, just at a 3 times multiplier. But, over like the year it's taken off, like 2020 itself, it took off.
Yeah,
and we're just kind of like what is driving growth now? Like what are we seeing here? Because it's got to be backed by something. Apple is a $3 trillion company.
Right.
Like, are we saying this gets to like $4 trillion? Like, where's the growth coming from in this?
True. I mean, what do they have out?
Like they've got the like same phone products, but like, aren't we like tapped out with stuff? Like,
yeah.
You can only buy so many computers and phones and headphones, like headsets, AirTags, like whatever. If you're like this crazy Apple guy and you buy all this shit, like, okay, like, when does the market get to that saturation? And then, like, past that, what do they have? So there's something in the QQQ. And, like, the QQQ is kind of like an average of all of them because, like, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Tesla, stuff like that led the charge in on stuff like this. So, like, this is kind of a representation of their growth. And they've all been charging along. But, like, where is that to go? I think towards, like, we get rid of stuff like stimulus checks where people just have unlimited money to just fire around at stuff. Yeah. We have increased interest rates, so money's harder to come by. We have the Fed buying back less stuff. So, like, money's not as easy to come by. And so, like, some of these growths in the companies, especially from stuff like Microsoft, has been driven by, like, more cash. But, like, in the future, are we to see stuff like that to come? And I argue that, like, some of the times that, like, some of these companies are going to, like, start to fall off or, the good ones are going to stay around forever. I don't see something like Apple ever just, like, getting mashed unless, like, stuff happens. And that, like, crazy stuff does happen. And it happens in the market all the time. But, like, without something unforeseeable, I don't see it going, like, crazy, like, away. But, like, where's the growth to come? So it could stall out. And, like, I think a great thing to, like, look at in terms of, like, a company that kind of did that for the last year is Amazon. Like, look at this. This is Amazon at the end of the year was up 2%, just barely from where it was.
Yeah.
Like, it did nothing. But, like, the year before...
Do you think Jeff Bezos had anything to do with that? Like, him stepping down?
Jeff Bezos in general?
Just, like, Amazon stock. Like, didn't he step down around the time that this happened?
I think, like, it was just due. I mean, Amazon just in general, it's kind of looked like that, but beforehand, yeah. See, it had this like miraculous like takeoff of growth, where it just really rallied off here, and this like period of growth from here and on up to here is kind of like miraculous and took them into being a $1 trillion company. But like what we're saying here is like these valuations matter. Like the market cap is $1 trillion. Like let's think through that. Like, that's a lot of money. Like, that's what they're saying is tied up into this. Like, where else is, like, more money going to, like, come into it?
Right.
So, like, where's the growth? And that's why I think, like, in 2022, this is going to be the year of finding stocks that are going to, like, outproceed the market and be strategic with our market investments. Strategic. Focus on what, like, going to be good in the future and why.
Like, in terms of, like, focusing on the saturation.
Yeah, just... I mean, that and more. Like, we're going to be focusing on things that, companies can do to, like, exceed into the future. Which ones are going to, like, continue on up in their growth and which ones aren't, I think something like, and getting into, like, some of our first things, like, Apple's had an amazing year, but like, you know, where's their growth going to come from? You know, something like Microsoft has also had an amazing year, but like they also have like complete market dominance, like, and their cash flows are great. So like, do I think they're going to like stall in general? No, but like I think something like that like is like more viable than something like Apple,
Right.
you know, because like they still have like room to grow and they have great like money flowing in and stuff like that. But if you're like a little hesitant, like I think like you could be skeptical about the year of 2022, then I think like something that like I'm gonna use into some of my strategies is called dollar cost averaging it.
Yeah, I would love to hear an explanation of what that is.
Dollar cost averaging it. So I did a little bit of math before the show, and like let's say you have $12,000 to invest this year. Okay, you're gonna like move that in, or like put that into like one stock. I don't know why you would, but like here's how like a dollar cost averaging strategy would be. You're putting you divide it by months, and then every single month on like a specific day you put it in like $1,000 on every single month, and then at the end of the year you will have invested $12,000. And if you think the company will be worth more at the end of the year than it is now, then you will have like made a good investment, because like it'll start to like bump up eventually.
That makes sense. Okay.
So, you know, if that's something that you want to do. I also think that something like options, like, and like trading options and like the big pops and stuff like that, you know, that could be a very successful like tool as well in 2022.
Right.
And we talk about that openly in our Discord, where we like kind of relay, and you know, we keep people up to date with like stuff that we're looking at. Yeah, we'll put a link. You guys should definitely check out the Discord. Very good stuff in there. But, you know, we help people, and, you know, we just want to, like, keep some people informed about stuff like that. So options are going to be a good play. Even, like, buying to the downside, you know, or, like, what we say is selling puts, protecting to the downside, saying it won't go below a specific point. But, like, we, you know, 2022 is a volatile year. So, with that being said, these picks are for, like, the general, like, outlook of 2022. And a lot of them, I have, like, notes about, like, all right, we're going to, like, buy in strategically. Like, we're not going to go all in. Like, in the past, we had talked about being in the TQQQ, and I advocated for that pretty strongly. It's because, like, things were charging, and, like, things look good and has strong momentum, high volumes, and people were really charging into the market.
Right.
Like, I don't, like, let's just see what, like, people are doing in 2022 before we, like, go with full head of steam. I'm not saying the TQQQ is gone. I still will be like hopping in on stuff.
Right.
And if I see there's good opportunities for the future, I'll be in on it. Not saying that I won't even, you know, like something like buying like options on like the TQQQ. That might be a good investment.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, if the TQQQ is not forming well necessarily, and you think it's going to go down a bit, like, the way to still make money from the TQQQ is options, putting calls on it, right?
Well, that would be one way if you do own the TQQQ, and this is only on strategies where you own more than 100 shares, but you could sell covered calls on them and bet that they won't be above a certain price at the end of like a certain time period. The only thing about that is the TQQQ is prone to big random movements, even in like the ways of like a movement towards the upside or the downside. Even on upside movements, they've been known to like contract on days more than like 8%. So, like, you know, it's a little bit risky if you're trading stuff like that. You could, if you're selling calls or selling puts to the downside, I mean, like, yikes. Or you're selling calls, or I mean, like, that would be the time to sell calls. But, like, if it pops back up to the upside and you're selling calls, like, you're also screwed as well.
Right.
So, like, there's a lot of, like, risk going on there. So, one thing we're talking about this year is being smart with our investments and, like, doing stuff that, like, you know, we can sustain. You know, if, $10 is, like, something that, like, you know, makes or breaks me by the end of the month. I'm not doing like a call on something where it's just like, all right, like that's not like covering my rent, you know.
Right. You probably shouldn't be investing at this point.
Yeah, but like, I mean, it's good to like at least be thinking about like the market, so when you get like good investments and stuff like that,
right,
then you'll have that money in the future and you'll have like knowledge to invest with.
Facts.
So, yeah, just know your own risks. I guess going into that, but like, I guess, and all of that being said, like, some of my more top picks for this year are a little bit more safe than last year. Like I said, like, I'm not saying, like, I'm staying away from, like, all those companies, like, the TQQ in general, but I do like companies like Microsoft and Google. We might see a little correction. I mean, dollar cost averaging in ensures that we, like, get through the correction and, like, will continue forward on the year for that. So I would be, willing to like check out something like that, or like have that on a watch list at least. But like even play like even like safer options. Like one thing that I found is the VIG. Now that might sound kind of funny to everybody, and I get it, but like the FIG is like kind of been like killing it. As you check it out, it chugs along. It does pretty well, and over a 5-year span, it's up over 100%.
That's nuts.
So that's like a for sure like kind of chug forward. It's up 101% in the past 5 years. Most of it because like it's really kind of ramped off from like 2020 to like 2022 where we are now. And so what the VIG does, it tracks a market cap weighted index of the U.S. companies that have increased their annual dividends for more than 10 consecutive years. So basically, it's getting a good capture like rate of like good companies that are like throwing in good dividends. So it's like capturing like the growth, and like it's also like throwing out dividends to us as well. So yeah, I definitely something to keep on like the radar. Very low expense ratio as well, if you guys are interested in stuff like that, and something that like I like in the future, especially if 2022 is going to be like an interesting year.
Right.
That's like a very safe pick.
Okay, so this is a safe pick. Like.
Yeah, this is a very safe pick. I think stuff that we also need to consider that like if you're trying to build like a healthy portfolio or a healthy watch list for this year, is something like NVIDIA. Like they make all the chips.
We've talked about that before on here.
Yeah, we talked about that before on here. As we see like more and more like production and thoughts into like metaverse and like more gaming and technical like worlds, like we're gonna like need chips for like all these stuff. Like chips are so in demand right now that you can't even go to a car lot and buy a car. Like chips are our main shortage. We need people to like get back to work. Like I checked out car lots over break.
Yeah.
Not stacked at all. Like super short supply. Like they need chips to like get manufactured. Like somebody's buying chips in 2022.
Yeah. Oh yeah. People are
like,
stocking up
phones,
on chips.
Like all this stuff needs chips. So, like people are gonna be throwing some money. So like, but like that also comes with like my thoughts is like it's had a great run up, and for like y'all that are kind of like a little new to this, let me show you just kind of what NVIDIA's done over the last year. They started off the year at like $130, and they're now staying at around $300. So their price like is up over 125% right now. But just in case like you guys lived under a rock, in their 5-year performance, they're up over 1,000%. People are obviously interested in this company, and I mean checking out the price, it's like really rocketed up, like especially around here. Some of that might be hype and stuff like that, but people do need chips. I would definitely say that like that's something that you'd have on your watch list to like check out at some points as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think like another niche thing that I would love to like tell people about that I think could be a really cool investment going into the future. I'm not sure if I've talked about it on here before. It's relatively new. This is Carbon, so I do sometimes like. Because like I get what like the main premise of it is. It's basically it ensures that as like the manufacturing in the world increases, sustainability factors going into the future being stressed for companies, especially by like the government.
And global warming.
Then like and global warming, like all that stuff's gonna come into play. Then this will be like a very good ETF. So what it does is Carbon seeks to track carbon credit futures index that weights holdings based on the trade volume. So basically, they're like kind of like they're tracking these credit futures, kind of like commodity prices towards like the future, where like as like the government's giving out more stuff like this, like they will be like more profitable, I guess, going forward, because like those will be like higher sought out after.
Right.
So like, basically, as we see like market or like manufacturing increasing, people just everlasting demand and like money will provide that, and like there's like a push towards like safer and more global stuff. I do see this to be like although a niche market, something that's really good going into the future. And just for y'all that are wondering, like, why I might think that, in a year it's up over 100%, but like, hey, you're maybe not still convinced. Over the last year and a half, it's up over 170%. So, just in case you like good profits here or there or whatever. And I don't see that slowing down. So, like, stuff to keep on your watch list. I wouldn't say like any of these are stuff that we're not laying on the gas like we did for the TQQQ for the last one. But if you haven't thought about these before, maybe it's a good time to add them to your watch list, open a position, whatever you guys feel comfortable with. But this is to like kind of open your eyes of like what's out there this year.
Hell yeah. That's something that's huge, especially with upcoming generations, getting rid of that carbon, in the air, just like.
Yeah. Like definitely moving towards like a more sustainable future, because like there's like been pollution and stuff out there, but we need to be like the people that are like making like efforts to like kind of clean that up. I feel and like honestly I want to do something like I think that I've always done, but like making investments that like just feel good for like that's something I want to invest in. It's not like some guy making like green ghouly aliens in the back that are gonna like murder people. Like I don't want to be a part of that.
Right.
Like, this does feel good in a way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would be happy to invest in that. Like that is a company I believe in.
Right. I think like other things that I'm kind of invested in that kind of touch along that might be some of these like crypto projects going into the future. Like there are plenty that like are looking at like sustainability, and I'm thinking like those are going to have its place going forward as well. I just found this like ETF to be like particularly interesting as like an ETF itself.
It's so interesting because it's what you see with some cryptos, but it's a stock that So that is it's huge.
Yeah, and you can like the only difference between like kind of stocks and cryptos other than the volatility is like you can trade options around this, which is kind of crazy. It's up over 100%. I'm guessing some of these days of the year it was up over 1% or something like that.
Right.
So if you're like betting options and you're trading like buying calls, like what call are up higher than like a stock is up on like certain days. So like that could be something that you could buy into. Going back, I think like checking in on it, like the price isn't too bad. It's only $51.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah, so like trading options on that wouldn't be like an arm and a leg. We'll see.
If you had to give a little price estimate, just prediction.
Yeah, they're like pretty liquid out here. The calls, if you were to get into one, kind of that like expire in the middle of January, around 55, it's like maybe $100.
Wow, that's not bad.
Yeah, and like I don't know, they have been going up, because as the stock price has been going up.
And you can do options on it.
Yeah, you can do options, you can sell calls, you can do all that stuff. Like people are on it. It does like the only foreseen warning for that is like the volume isn't like massive, so you might spook the market. No, I'm just kidding. You'd have to put like $1 million in there to spook the market.
Yeah, you might be running down the freaking AK.
people just like running away down the street and stuff like that.
Dude, yeah, you never know.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna do that, but it's just something to keep on your radar. And one of my goals this year is to kind of like keep a sheet like this. I do think like some like good diversification will be great this year, and so I'll be making and posting up a list. I already have a pretty big list, but I'll be publishing that to the ROIS Investments articles section.
Yes, sir.
You guys should definitely check it out. Stuff to like keep an eye on this year, and stuff that you can like actionably look at and test like what's been good this year.
And that's ROIS podcast.co.
Yes, sir. So Johnny, I hear that like you've been big into cryptos lately.
Oh yeah, I've been in the lab, doing the research.
Heck yeah! So what you got cooking for us in there?
Well, something that we really kind of bolster our podcast in a way, just based off, gave us the confidence that we knew. It kind of made us feel like, oh, we kind of know what is going on. We understand the value behind the cryptos, certain blockchains and whatnot. So of course I'm gonna have to say Solana.
Yes, sir.
It's just really been doing well, and right now it's at 170 something, I believe.
Right.
And here's the thing, Solana, and I think this is important to keep in mind. And I'm not saying invest in it. Don't invest in it if you don't want to. But personally, I believe in based off of the fact that they are more scalable than Ethereum, less than a year old. They just continue to improve, and
Mm-hmm.
it comes with everything. They like if you go on to Slope, which is an app you can connect your Phantom wallet, which is what most people on Solana use, connect
Mm-hmm.
that to Slope, and then you'll be able to view all your NFTs. Like you'll also be able to view over 100 different Solana built apps.
Wow.
And Audius is also they're more favorable towards Solana. So for an example of that would be something that is also great, something that we look at and that we believe is going to be big would be the metaverse, right? There's a NFT on Solana and it's called Portals. And what you would get right now, the card, and the card gives you access. There's 3 different tiers. The card gives you access to it gives you access to your own gallery, and it's also going to become its own metaverse. So I will show you guys what I mean.
Wow.
This is just kind of like my little.
And where is this?
It's made on Solana. You can buy one of these from Solana Art or Magic Eden, but I will show you guys right now what I'm talking about. All right,
Damn.
yeah, so
Okay.
that by owning one of these like portal, it's called a portal, and
Uh-huh.
it's like a little key card. And depending on the tier you have, like so I have the tier 1, right? And I'm able to place all of my Solana NFTs around here for people to view, and I put this pillar in here, I put that couch over in there, I put this in there, I put that little mat that is underneath. I customize this entire thing, right? This right here, this is a Ethereum NFT that I got. I like it because it's a mixture of doodles and Bored Ape Yacht Club. But I also put in this big fireplace for the cozy look. Audius has they're forming they're collaborating with Portals to make it so that you're going to be able to play music from Audius. So imagine like if
Wow.
Spotify was partnered with them, but like it's so much better that it's Audius, I believe, because Audius empowers. They really empower the creator. It's like like the artist, and that's really what
Right.
has something that I really realized is like something that you have to look for when you're looking at these kinds of things is like how is it empowering either the artist, the artist in terms of music, the artist in terms of digital art or whatever. How is
Right.
it empowering you as a collector to display your work? And then so what I showed you guys, yeah, that's cute, and I love the little room, but that's just the beta of what your room's gonna look like.
Right.
They're making a whole downtown. So imagine Animal Crossing mixed with like, if you guys know what Meebits is, it's like a NFT on Ethereum. They look very similar to those little characters. But
Wow, that sounds really interesting.
dude, it's phenomenal. I mean, Solana NFTs are really growing. They're becoming
Mhm.
huge. So I think that's gonna be a big factor with Solana why it grows so well. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of things, like a lot of things coming out. Just keep an eye out for Solana. That's all.
Okay, heck
Sorry.
yeah.
What are your thoughts, Roy?
So I'm a big fan of Solana, as you know, and I think like going forward they're gonna have a big year. And I just think about it in terms of like the breakdown of what we see at the top. So we got Bitcoin sitting there somehow at nearly $1 trillion of a valuation. Like I don't really know who got to that idea, but first of its kind, good for them. But Ethereum's better, and I think people are waking up to see that.
Ethereum's way
So
better.
Ethereum's got a bunch of stuff going on. The original of like the starting of like DApps and stuff behind stuff like that, and people making smart contracts. So yeah, they're doing way more than Bitcoin. But past that, Solana's doing everything better than them. So like you tell me where like all this belongs, and like Ethereum sits at like just under half a trillion dollars. Solana sits at 51 billion or something
Right.
like that. less than less than 10 times the worth of Ethereum and less than 20 times the worth of Bitcoin, and I think it does more. As of being relatively new, yes, and it's a new project and it has to prove.
Wait, how new is it? It's not even.
It's like I think a year or two old.
I think it's about a year old.
Okay.
Because when we were talking about it in one of our prior episodes, we called it at $36, and that was when I kind of first just found out about it. Like Binance is an exchange. It's at $400 though. It was an earlier exchange. This has the very same potential, but even more so, because it also acts as a place where people can go to build apps. So it's not only an exchange, but it's also like Ethereum, like Bitcoin. So you can build on top of it. So these are all very important factors to a crypto becoming successful.
A great potential investment. And
Yes.
and for those that aren't familiar with it, because it kind of snuck up on us, right now it is trading at roughly $53. Yeah. The high all time of this is $55.91, and it is cruising right now with all this new technology and the traction that it's getting in this market. If it gets to that 55 level, which I'm pretty sure it will, watch out.
Yeah,
I'm holding this one right now, and I'm ready for it to rip.
Yeah,
and this is something that I would recommend as a trade right now, because we're seeing it's ripping and not anything in its way. A few more dollars to click up before it's reaching its all-time highs, and then who knows? Maybe by the time we're doing our next podcast, this thing's sitting at
It actually is less than it started in 2020.
Yeah, think about that, people. That's insane, for a crypto to do that. Not only a crypto, but a blockchain, a competing blockchain with Ethereum. And Ethereum's been around for years. And it's just something to think about, especially I think about this in NFTs, because I feel like where the excitement is for people who don't necessarily completely understand the crypto behind it, you know what I mean? Like the blockchain technology. NFTs are a good way to indicate. So, yes, Ethereum does have more big projects on there, big artists on there. But also, remember, these people are people that are now switching on over to Solana. If you go to their Twitters, you can see that they're saying, hey, moving on over to Solana. What are some good projects to get into? You're seeing this transition. Right. And then also, Solana's gas fees. The biggest thing. It's literally the thing. It's one of the things.
Driving people over to Solana.
Right. So unless Ethereum gets its act together, then
which could happen with Ethereum 2.0, right?
They just pushed it back again.
Yeah. So that's starting to seem a little bit less doable. I am a supporter of Ethereum. I've got good amount of wrapped into it, and I do think for the future, it's not going to be a horrible idea at all. So but I just think Solana. Yeah, I mean I think we kill people on here with the amount of times we say the same thing about Solana. But I think it's going to get more mainstream coverage potentially. I think more people are going to know about it. I think these are going to be things that these people that put billions of dollars into Bitcoin are going to start to think about.
Kyle Young.
I think we see some people rolling into
NBA
it.
player, and then I forget the person he partnered with. Also an NBA player, both champions.
Nice. Wow.
They have an NFT collection. I have a pair of their shoes. They're called Space Runners. I bought one pair, flipped them for I think I got them for about 3 Solana, flipped it for about 14, and then and now I have, and then I not only did I flip them, I was able to, by using, it's called moonrank.app, I believe, and you can check the rarity of each of these, right? So that's what I did with this collection. I found one, and there's 10,000 of these, I believe. I found one that was ranked 400 something, and now I have that, right? So
wow, that sounds like something that people should be really checking into.
Space
and
Runners.
The art, and the art of doing stuff like that for the year of 2022 is looking into NFT products. Yeah, seeing what's out there and seeing what will be popping off in the future. That's a really good idea.
Facts. So make sure you guys are following
right
at ROIS podcast, following at LumpyCat, because that's my little NFT fun fake alias name.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big supporter of lumpy cats. You know.
And you get to check out his nice new screensaver for that as well.
Oh yeah.
As I kind of like think through it, isn't that like a kind of like the Bored Ape Yacht Club?
You're talking about the Superlative Apes. So
Yeah, that
so
looks
those,
super cool.
it could, and here's the thing. So like, what I've been doing recently is if I like the way the art looks, and it has a strong community behind it, and I like the idea of it, that's what I will choose to invest in. So like,
That sounds beautiful.
I chose them because they're a mixture of Bored Apes and Doodles, which are the top, like some of the top, and one of them is the top. The other one is like ranked like 5th or 6th top NFTs on
Beautiful.
Ethereum. Yeah, so it just comes down to what do you like,
Right, and then you get to own the original, and that's gonna be super strong going forward. That NFTs, we see crypto gaming having a great year this year.
Oh yeah, huge.
Definitely with like the metaverse, especially
Metaverse.
you see
Solana's metaverse.
Yeah, Solana's metaverse. I still see stuff like Sandbox being strong this year as well.
Oh yeah. Dude,
Like
they're about to have another
this stuff
alpha.
is just getting started. Yeah, like they're gonna be doing very well with stuff like that. And then we even got stuff like Avalanche. Like they've got like
Avalanche.
they've got like projects and projects everywhere, especially in the world of DeFi.
Dude, for real. Like staking. If you go on to Trader Joe's, traderjoe.xyz, that's a great website to look at like all the different liquidity pools that Avalanche has. All the different opportunities to invest. I think I like Avalanche the most, not because I'm holding it and selling it. What I like to do is I like to put it into liquidity pools, or I like to stake it, like buy tokens from the Avalanche.
Yeah, I think it's like
stake.
pretty top tier in terms of like staking for stuff like that.
I would say one of the best.
That's what's been rolling a lot of like cash into it. And so when we think about these bigger projects, we're thinking about it in terms of like all the smaller projects that they have going on inside of it, and that adds value to it as well. So for you to like really understand a project, we definitely like implore you guys to like go check it out and see like what kind of other stuff is being grown on top of it.
Yes.
I think like one of the last things that like I really like is like Matic or Polygon going into the new year. So like definitely these are things that you guys I think should definitely be considering on your watch list. We've got Discord for upcoming stuff, and we also talk frequently in there about like trades and stuff like that. And we have Telegram, we got Twitter, and Instagram too. What we're really focused on this year is hearing from like what you guys want to like talk about. Like I want to like be in touch with you guys to see what like you guys are thinking for like 2022. I'm thinking of doing like kind of like an open source poll this year about like you guys write in something like what stocks do you want to hear about like this year, what cryptos do you want to hear us talk about this year, and we'll cover them. Like if Johnny, do you know if like any way we could do that, like maybe like an open source?
I can tell you right now that a lot of our audience wants to hear about EverGrow Coin.
EverGrow Coin.
We're getting
That's gonna be one of the
lot
best.
of feedback about, like, I'll look at the comments and they're like, more EverGrow Coin. Coin.
Yeah.
I did a Spotify for for a podcast that the audio version on Spotify. I did a Q&A, and I said, what would you guys like to hear us talk more about? And more EverGrow Coin. That's what they said. So
heck yeah, and we're on EverGrow Coin this year. We haven't left, and we think that some of the best is yet to come. So like, definitely not a time to peace out.
Not a time to peace out. I mean, and I just want to show this real quick. This is the 1 year chart, right? So right here, we're starting to see like this is where what would you say we bought in at?
We got in pretty early. I'm not exactly sure.
Like right around.
Yeah,
here.
I really do think it's somewhere right around there.
Yeah. So if you buying now, you'd be just above where we bought in at, which was like 2 weeks after the pre-sale. Goes on up, and then the big crypto crash, right?
Yeah.
And so it kind of bottoms out, right? Now, I'm not saying it is completely bottomed out, but if you look in the past month, look at that.
It's had strong bars here.
Yes, strong bars, and you can see this. The volume plays a big part. People are taking profits, which is something that we didn't emphasize enough on before when we talked about it. But
like this right here is a beautiful pattern, though. This is like a bull pattern, and like how like we ideally or like potentially you could see this popping off as like being a nice, beautiful bowl where it like parabolically like shifts and rolls through the bottom, and thus we've seen the bottoming
Right.
out, which would happen to a new crypto project, and like people are gonna have their doubts, they're gonna have FUD, and they're gonna have these big whales trying to sell off their positions, as we've seen a lot of, even with EGC. But like I know the real ones are here to stay through this, and like we're not gonna be affected by stuff like that. Great projects are great projects, and they got to start somewhere.
You may have bought in, at the top. That's okay. All right. Like EverGrow Coin. If you guys look up online EverGrow Coin news, you guys are gonna see that from the time that we were from our first podcast about EverGrow Coin, the amount of articles at that time were nothing. Roy's podcast had the only tutorial on how to buy it. Okay. And so now, if you look it up, all of a sudden, within the past few months, like 2 months, EverGrow Coin to be the next Doge or Sheep, it follows something by like, it's not even in the same league or something. Like people are realizing Roy's podcast and our community have realized about EverGrow Coin, and that's that it's just not over. Okay. So,
yeah, and it like actually has a real value, and for like I guess like just like a simple breakdown, like it has value, it pays out in BUSD, and that's like a stable coin, which is very, very positive for something like this. They have been paying that out, which is reassuring, and like they are also deflationary, so like the token will be like being cut,
Right.
and like
they
it'll be
burn
burned.
it. They're big burning.
Yeah, they've been burning tokens, so inevitably the value is going to be going up here, and like they've been honest and transparent, and this is like some of the FUD that we talk about is like people pulling out the rug, saying like this is a scam. Coin market cap, kind of where people go to like find
That is
like,
the place.
news.
Yeah.
That is the place. Like, didn't even market right for like a good month or two or something.
They
like
made
that.
everyone believe we were all billionaires for a second.
I mean, like, as fun as it was on that day to think that we were, like, nobody was selling their like EGC.
Well, and
I
if
mean,
they
not
did,
yet.
they messed up. They weren't even
Yeah.
looking at what they were selling it for. They were just like, "Oh my gosh, they sold it." So
I mean, like, I remember checking my bank account and it started to look fat. Like, I mean,
I was like, I'm richer than Elon. Like,
yeah, me and Elon are gonna go on like a jet ski tour later.
facts,
Sure.
dude.
I mean, hey, we're not saying that like that's not in the future somewhere. Towards like when this gets some notoriety, but like, hey, that wasn't the time, and like we're just saying like they kind of messed up on the, and there's been like stuff. It just seemed like a lot of stuff are going against them.
Yeah, a lot of other companies, that are trying to do what they're doing, but they're just not. In this opinion that I'm saying right now, I believe that they're just not the team. They're not the community. They're not the. I feel the more reliability in EverGrow's team, and
Right.
that is what it comes down to, because they're honest. They are honest when they've made a mistake. They are
Right.
honest about what's coming forward. And the last thing I'm going to show you guys is something that's very exciting about this. So the last time we showed their website, it was a bit different because they added this. So Crator, launching this month. Crator, the EverGrow subscription platform. We are developing the world's first content subscription platform to integrate both crypto and fiat payment options. That's amazing. Users
Wow.
can choose to use fiat, other cryptocurrencies, or EGC to purchase content, tip, and message content creators, or subscribe for regular content. Creators can opt out to be paid in EGC. Wow. See, that's how much.
Whoa.
That's the trust right there. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Other cryptocurrencies or fiat with the lowest commissions in the industry. Here is also something that's coming out. This NFT. So you can buy and sell NFTs on our platform, including any that you obtain through liquidated collateral from the NFT lending platform. This opens a unique competitive market to buy NFTs below their usual market value. The marketplace will also include a minting tool that will let users create their own NFTs from images, videos, and other data. Big.
Dang.
NFT lending, the first ever decentralized marketplace for easing liquidity in NFT DeFi, built on Binance Smart Chain. Our marketplace will allow NFT owners to easily borrow against their NFTs as collateral on fair interest rates without having to sell them. This means you could earn from your NFTs instead of having them sit there just gathering dust in your wallet. Staking pools, all of this.
Look, like this is on its way. Like this project hadn't, like, for y'all, like, it hadn't been doing stuff like this before. 2022 is turning a page for them.
Facts. And they're going to have a wallet, so be on the lookout for that in quarter 2 of 2022.
Wow.
It's going to be like Trust Wallet. So, and Trust Wallet
This is sweet.
allows
There's a lot to be excited here.
a lot. And
Yeah.
even if only 2 of those were successful,
That's big.
that's huge. That could, I was reading a
Dang, like, they're
and-
kind of getting into a conglomerate business here.
dude, like this is still early, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're still out here. And, like, coin market cap ain't even taking them seriously yet. So, like,
Yeah,
hey, I could understand why people would be skeptical, but,
of course.
when you understand value in something,
You know,
full steam forward.
it's like when you see someone that is beaten up on the side of the road,
Right.
and
Just down and about.
just down and about, just crawling around,
Right.
and you're like, wow, you know what? That person, they may be crawling around on the floor, but they look jacked. They look jacked as fuck. So you know what? I'm gonna help them up, and I'm gonna see if they can train me. Right? That's a
Yeah.
horrible analogy, but you guys get it. You guys get what I'm saying, I hope.
Yeah. Right. Well, potentially, we're just getting that, like, this is a great thing to be involved with.
Yeah, so essentially, what EverGrow Coin is just some homeless guy crawling around on the floor. No, I'm kidding.
No. There's no way. They're very much like one of our favorites.
Oh, dude, by micro cap wise, that's personally my top pick.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what 2022 holds for them. And, kind of us in general. So, cheers to...
Cheers to that, brother.
All right.
Cheers to the ROIS podcast audience, fans, and what's our number one fans Twitter name?
Boo Boo?
Boo Boo.
Boo-doo?
Boo Boo.
Yeah.
You know what, man?
Yeah.
Special shout out to you, all right?
Uh-huh.
Because he keeps us on track. He keeps us
Yeah,
on
you
point.
definitely do keep us on track, and we appreciate you, man. So,
Yes,
thank you
sir.
so much for being a fan. We love stuff like that.
Absolutely, man. And that means